Hi guys! It's Amy with Aim to Plan, and today I am going to be setting up a new set of holiday planners. So I'm using the word setting up very loosely, or like new holiday planner a little bit loosely, because I already do have several holiday planners that I am going to be kind of updating today. And so this planner right here is a recent purchase. I got this from Michael's. It took me a while. So I got this planner from Michael's on clearance. And one of the things that I noticed as I was flipping through it is that it's very seasonal. I do love having seasonal planners, but for the purposes of just like my daily planning, I don't necessarily need that much color or design with my planner. And so what I thought would work out well was to have this planner serve as maybe like a place to plan or jot down notes for the different holidays or seasons that come up. And so what I just decided to do was just to do that. Just don't really tie myself to, I guess, like having to work in these planners, but it's really nice to be able to do so. And so what we're going to do is skip, I think, like July, August, and September, and of course all the beginning pages. And we're actually going to pick up right here with October. And so I'm going to set this to the side because I will break down this entire planner. But I wanted to show you, before we got into that, my series of 5 holiday planners. And so I recently set this planner, the one on the coral, to be my birthdays and anniversary planner. So covering essentially January and February, and a little bit of March if necessary, but it's going to be the beginning months. This one is for all of the other months, and this is October, November, and December. So October is, of course, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, January and February, which is where our birthdays are, and anniversaries are, and then this covers all of the other months. And so we're just going to work down the line, and what I'm going to do is essentially break down this planner and add them into the corresponding planner. Now, again, my goal is not to really use this fully. I am going to use it as needed for planning all of the different holidays and events that we have. But if I don't use it, I'm not going to beat myself up about it. If I don't use it, I will just pull it out of the planners and just kind of recycle it into my, like, can I use it next year kind of pile. So I am going to kind of go in here and we're going to do it just one by one. All right, so this first one is my my Halloween planner for October. I do sometimes have September in here, but I will say I have not used it for September at all. And then this very first section is my calendar section. All right, so just to kind of do a super quick flip through, like these are all of my old, like from previous years notes. Now, if you want to flip through of any of these holiday planners, please do let me know. I do have flip throughs of some of them. I would say most of them, but I am not going to flip through them in this video. But I am going to add this calendar to the calendar tab right here. All right. And now the big thing for me is that this one is a top tab, and then now I have this October tab that's kind of down here hanging out. And yeah, I will do it. I'm going to cut off the tab. All right, I know that is really bothersome for some people, but I am just going to do it. All right, this is my planner. I am not going to sell it or resell it or anything like that. This is going to be my October 2025 planner. Okay, and so what I am going to do, because like October is like 2 days away, like right around the corner, I am actually going to come in here and I think put in all of the community events. That's kind of what I use my holiday planners for, is for community events or big holiday events for my family. I don't track like other types of events, and for these community events or like big events in my family, of course the family events I will probably attend, but the community events, I just like to know what's happening in my city, and they don't have to be events that I actually attend. It's just a nice record of like what happens around the holidays for my city. For the vertical pages, it's a classic vertical. It's super cute. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I think I might just like convert it to like task pages or put photos. I'm not quite sure. So I don't really plan to use this. I was really only planning to use the monthly here. And so cutting off the tab is totally fine for that, because, you know, I'm planning to use it, right? I'm planning to use this divider, the back half of it at least. Okay, so that's the first one. And this is going to be the same thing for all of these planners, right? I'm just going to stick them into the correct spot. Okay, so let's go into November. November, of course, is my Thanksgiving planner. And so this is, again, if you want a flip through, definitely let me know. Like, I should have cut this off. Let me do that now. So this one is a like monthly planner from like ages ago. So I'm gonna cut this off. Actually, I need to use my paper trimmer. I think that might work out a little bit better. Okay, because this one is like kind of a longer tab. Okay, so let's get this in here. I'm just going to eyeball it. I'm gonna line it up with this bottom edge right here to make sure it's on the line, and then we're just gonna cut just like that. Okay, that gets rid of that little line. Okay, so let's stick this in here. I just want the tab to be the tab that I'm using, right? So now it's just this one tab, and again, the top tab here is calendar. It actually is calendar and tasks. So for maybe November, it works out a little bit better where I can use the vertical pages for tasks as well. Coming back over here, let's pull November. All right, and so we're gonna stick this in here. I love this divider, so cute. Same deal here. I'm gonna use this to track community events, essentially. And that's just one of the things I like to do. Let me cut off this tab. Okay, and now we're ready. So here, since I do have this for task, I can start planning out Thanksgiving. I am not hosting Thanksgiving this year, 2025, so I might not need that much space, but it's just nice to like have those notes if I need to. All right, next is Christmas. All right, so Christmas, same deal. I have all of my holiday planners kind of like the calendars in the front, right? So my calendar is in the front here. Again, if you want to flip through, please do let me know. I'll link the flip through for you for these planners, the holiday planners. I know for sure I have them for Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. Now, how recent they are, I have no idea, but I definitely have them, at least one per. The birthdays and anniversaries ones I just set up, so I definitely have that video. And then the last one, the seasonal one for basically all of the other months of the year. I don't know about that one. That one I might have to record a video. So if you want that one, just let me know. Okay, so I cut off the tab, and again, community events will go here. And I mean, for Christmas is my favorite holiday. I might actually use this for like memory keeping or something else. But if I use it for memory keeping, it goes in a different section. We won't talk about all that now. I'm just putting these planners in here. So that's that one. All right. For this one, this is January and February. I wanted to do a quick flip through here of like how I changed it up. I said when I set up this video that I wanted to find dividers, and so I did find dividers and labeled them, so those are all in there. And what I'm going to do is flip past all of those. Now those 4 dividers for me, my husband, and my 2 kids are the 4 birthday dividers, and so any notes related to like planning for our birthdays will go into these first few sections. And then I have in here 4 dividers, so there's a January and a February. These are these first are the question and answer, and then the second is just kind of the January one is New Year's notes, and the February one is Halloween, essentially. So what I'm going to do is basically add to the sections. Okay, so this is, again, the first January is question and answer, the second one is New Year's. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is right after that second January, I'm going to add the third January tab. It's going to be a ton of tabs in here. Okay, in this case, I am not going to cut off the tabs, right? And what I use the January one for is I'll go ahead and do any winter related events in here. I find that after Christmas, you know, like the whole city shuts down, and so there's not going to be like a lot of winter themed events. But if there are any winter events, I would put them in here. I like to like look at my library. Sometimes there are like vision board activities, things related to goals. I would write those types of things in here. But I want to, hopefully, all right, this is my plan, just talking out loud. I would like to use the classic vertical pages here to set up our family goals. And so every year I try to talk to my family, have a family meeting to discuss what our family goal is for the year. And so having a page for that, but also including like maybe Rose has a specific goal. She will be 3 in 2026. Sophia will be 9. I, of course, will be older. My husband will be older. So we can use these pages. I can use these pages to just kind of like make the word of the year and not really focusing on like day of the week or anything like that, just like giving everyone a page. So that's kind of what I'm thinking for these, right? And so then for February, same deal here, where it's question and answer, and then February is like kind of the Valentine's Day. So I need to add February in here. And one other holiday that goes in here that I haven't mentioned yet is Mardi Gras. And so Mardi Gras tends to fluctuate with where it falls in the year, but I want to have at the very end, after all of these, I want to have a divider that is for Mardi Gras. And so what I'm going to do is actually use this one, you guys. I'm going to go ahead and add March in here to basically have it before Mardi Gras. I actually should look up the date. I don't actually know when Mardi Gras is for 2026, but I'll put it in here so that way it's together. And the plan here is to track Mardi Gras. In our area, we tend to love Mardi Gras, and so there are Mardi Gras parades all the time. Like there are masquerades and balls, things like that. So I don't do most of that, but just having a record of that for our city, I just like doing that. And then here I can like go into more detail if I need to. All right, so that is now set up for January and February plus Mardi Gras, which I hope is in March. I have no idea what month it's in. And then the rest of this, April through essentially September, will go into this planner. This is my seasonal planner. And just like with that last one, the birthdays and anniversaries, I'm probably not going to cut off any tabs because this is set up very similarly, where there's question and answer and then a second divider. So March and March. So the first March is the question and answer. The second March are like the notes that I want to keep. And so in this case for March, it's spring. It's just a spring bucket list. I gave the March divider to that previous planner, so won't add here. But same thing for April. April is question and answer. And then for this April divider, it's essentially Easter. I don't know exactly when Easter is, but I'm going to put this set of pages in here. And I will use these pages in 2026 for Easter. Right, again, this will be community events. I might use this for planning Easter, like all that type of stuff. Then for May, again, question and answer. The second May is for Mother's Day. I've got a ton of Mother's Day stuff in here, like all of the handmade crafts, things like that for my girls, which I try to save. It's so cute, right? So eventually it'll get too full and I'll have to like move it to a memory box or something like that. But for the time being, I love it having it in there. So same deal, community events, and I will use the weekly pages if needed. For June, the first one is of course question and answer. The second one is for summer bucket list. So I've got my summer bucket list in here. And for June 2026, I will just move these pages in here. Community events, again, summer related activities, bucket list if I want to, right? And then July. For this July, it's mostly Independence Day, which we don't really plan anything for that. But if I wanted to, I can certainly do that. So I'll add these pages in there for that. Okay, August. So this August is back to school. And one of the things that we like to do before back to school is having a beach trip. So it's like whatever, even if it's not in August, I use this August divider for planning for that beach trip and anything back to school related. So if I have shopping lists or just other like end of summer, like got to get it done before school starts, it goes into this August divider. And I do have a separate home binder for school as well. But like this is where whatever seasonal related activities, like whatever, like, I mean, we have things like, for example, backpack drives or something like that. It might go in multiple places, but to me, something like a backpack drive is a community event. It would go in here rather than with the school binder. The school binder is more so for like the actual paperwork from school that I need to keep track of. Okay, that's just my separation. You know, everyone has a little bit different of a system. All right, and then here, September, and then September, this one, I don't actually use for anything, honestly. It's for Labor Day, but I would at this point use it for my fall bucket list. I tend to kind of use my Halloween planner for the fall bucket list, but I can definitely put it in here because it makes sense here as well, right? So September is now in here, right? And then there's this one page plan accordingly, give yourself more time, reflect and plan. Yeah, okay, I'll just leave that in there. Actually, no, I'm gonna move this. Right, we're in the setting up of binders, right? So let's just go ahead and do that. What I'm gonna do is take this planner. This is again the birthdays and anniversaries, right? But I also had in here my January 2026, right? And even though this is really meant for planning for 2027, I'm gonna stick this in here to try to do some work for 2026, right? That's totally fine. All right, and then I should have done this at the same time, but I forgot this is an 18-month planner, so it goes to October 2026, November, and December 2026, and so I need to go back into my 3 other, like the actual like holiday binders. So let's go back to October, and so now October 2025 and October 2026 will be in here. And again, for these, I do cut off the tabs. So let's pull this off. This divider is so cute. Okay, I cut it off for these 3 just because I have my own homemade, but the other 2, I need to figure out a system for those 2. All right, so now I have 2025, October 2025, and then October 2026 in here. All right, I think that's perfect. Love it. Okay, so we're gonna close this up. Let's go to November. Again, already have November 2025 in here. Here in the back, right? November 2025, and then I will add November 2026. I love having this plan, you guys. It just makes me feel prepared. All right, I'm prepared for all the things. And now that I have the 2026 planner in here too, I can absolutely plan ahead. So I don't have to like use this for November 2nd, 2026. I can literally just undate it and just use it as jotting space. Like I can take notes, I could put in things that I'm considering for 2026, even if it's 2025, right? Like after Thanksgiving, don't you like to sit down and just kind of process what happened for Thanksgiving, the things that you liked, the things that you don't like, you know? I like doing that, at least. I like to try to do that. Okay, last one. This is going to be Christmas, December 2026. All right, so again, I have December 2025 in here, and then I'm going to take out, right, December 2026. So we're going to stick this in here. This one gets a cute little, the back page, because that's just how the Happy Planners roll. I don't use the currently pages at all, so they're just kind of going to sit in there and hang out with us. All right, so now I have December 2025, December 2026. Same deal as for Thanksgiving. Like I can just use this for planning space. I don't have to worry about the dates too much. Okay, now all 5 of these holiday planners have been updated. I love that. Okay, so these 5 have been updated. What I have now is essentially July, August, and September of 2025, which I'm not using for anything. And then I also have these beginning pages. And so what I will do is just take this out, break it down for storage with like other vertical layout pages that I will use sometime in the future. I just don't have a plan for them, right? So here I've stored the pages that I plan to use. I've already put them in there. I know that that's what I'm going to be using for 2025, 2026. Here, these pages I don't have a plan for, so I'm going to put these pages in storage. And then the covers and the discs, I mentioned this in the planner haul video, I'm going to be using it for Rose's memory book. And so I'm going to leave that intact and just go ahead and start moving in her pages. That will be I think a November decision, what I tend to do or what I plan to do for her. So in the meantime, I'm going to kind of leave this together, including with the pages too. Otherwise it will be kind of floppy. But once I decide what I do for Rose, I will take these pages out and move in the 2026 pages. So that is my plan. And now I've got 5 holiday planners ready to go all the way through December 2026. I love that. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to my channel, and until the next video, bye guys.